It's more big news tonight on the widening investigation surrounding former President Donald Trump. Today, the New York Times reports that the Justice Department has opened a grand jury investigation into how classified White House documents ended up in Donald Trump's Florida home. You may remember that earlier this year, the National Archives discovered that 15 boxes of official White House records, including sensitive and classified materials, had somehow found their way to Trump's private club and residence. The National Archives referred that matter to the Justice Department, who were reported to be planning an investigation into the matter. Now that investigation appears to be underway. According to the New York Times, Justice Department prosecutors have already issued at least one subpoena to the National Archives and have begun making requests to interview people who worked in the Trump White House during the final days of his presidency. The Times also reports, quote, the investigation is focused on how the documents made their way to the residence, who boxed them up, whether anyone knew that classified materials were being improperly taken out of the White House, and how they were ultimately stored in Mar-a-Lago, according to a person with knowledge of the matter, end quote. The news of this investigation comes as Congress's own investigation into the final days of the Trump presidency is also wrapping up. As I mentioned before, January 6th investigators have now subpoenaed 5 Republican members of Congress, including the Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, to testify about what they saw and discussed in the lead up to January 6th. Joining us now to help us unpack all of this is the former United States attorney, the co-host of the Sisters-in-Law podcast, Joyce Vance. Good evening to you, Joyce. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Let's start with the Mar-a-Lago stuff. I'm old enough to remember the days when a federal investigation into the potential mishandling of classified information was enough to cost Hillary Clinton a chance at the presidency. How big a deal is this investigation into boxes of potentially classified material that were relocated to Mar-a-Lago?
It seems to me that this is a big deal for a lot of different reasons. First off, this is an investigation. Nobody knows where it's headed and whether or not there was intentional criminal misconduct. But one possibility is that the former president could be involved in something that's criminal here. And so this investigation we should read as a signal from Merrick Garland, probably an unintentional one, but a signal nonetheless, that he is willing to pursue criminal cases that may involve the former president of the United States. For people who've thought that that was not an option for this Justice Department, I think this case gives them reason to reconsider those opinions. You know, it's also a very serious matter just on its own. DOJ needs to figure out what was in those 15 boxes of documents. Was there some sort of a leak? Was this classified information distributed in an improper way? And if so, who was responsible? But the statute makes it a crime simply to remove classified information and to store it in a non-secure location. So there is criminal conduct involved here if someone knew what they were doing when they did this.